Okay, what I'm going to show you now is how I want you to do your poetry project that we either have talked about or we will talk about in just a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the poem that I've chosen. It's Traveling Through the Dark by William Stafford. And then I'll show you what I'm going to do with it, which is what you'll do with it, with the poem that you choose. It says, Traveling Through the Dark by William Stafford. Traveling through the dark, I found a deer dead on the edge of the Wilson River Road. It is usually best to roll them into the canyon. That road is narrow. To swerve might make more dead. By glow of the tail light, I stumbled back of the car and stood by the heap. A doe, a recent killing. She had stiffened already, almost cold. I dragged her off. She was large in the belly. My fingers touching her side brought me the reason. Her side was warm. Her fawn lay there, waiting, alive, still, never to be born. Beside that mountain road, I hesitated. The car aimed ahead, its lowered parking lights. Under the hood purred the steady engine. I stood in the glare of the warm exhaust, turning red. Around our group, I could hear the wilderness listen. I thought hard for all of us, my only swerving, then pushed her over the edge into the river. All right. What I'm going to do now is discuss the poem, take it part apart, discuss some of the things, which is what you'll do. Look in the first stanza, and you see in the third line, you see the pronoun them. It is usually best to roll them into the canyon. Notice that he's not giving it a gender, him or a her. Go to the second stanza, and when he notices it's a doe, he becomes a little bit more personal with it. Second stanza, third line, he calls it a she. And in the fourth line of stanza 2, he also calls it a she. So he gets more personal using those pronouns there. I want you to look back to the first stanza, the word swerve. We're not just talking about swerving on the highway. He's also talking about swerving in a decision in his mind. Because this poem is not just about swerving off of the road or swerving to miss a deer. It's also about having to make a decision, and we see that in the last stanza. I thought hard for all of us, my only swerving. So he's making the decision, do I try to do something about this fawn that's fixing to die inside its mother, or do I just push the whole thing into the canyon? I want us to go back into the second stanza and look at the word heap. The diction, word choice of that word is a piece of trash. So again, before he noticed that there was a baby there, he thought that this was just roadkill, trash. And then he realizes that there's life, and so that makes a difference. Let's look at some personification there. Go to the fourth stanza, and the car aimed ahead, its lowered parking lights. Under the hood purred the steady engine. Not only are we talking there about the engine of the car, we're talking about the heartbeat of the fawn. So that's a play on words there. I want us to look at some imagery, some light and dark imagery. Notice in the third stanza, well, let's go to the second stanza, we've got some light imagery with the tail light, and then in the third stanza, we have some warm imagery with warm, and again with lights in the fourth stanza, the exhaust of the car turning red. So we have quite a bit of light and dark imagery and warm and cold imagery in there. There is a shift in this poem, the shift that changes from indecision to he's made his decision. Look at the very last stanza. I thought hard for all of us, my only swerving. And here you hear, now you feel him working on his decision. What am I going to do? Am I going to try to perform an emergency C-section? I don't know what he would have done on the side of the road. But then that those two dashes, they signal the shift. He makes his decision, and then he pushes that doe off into the river off of the side of the road. Let's look at the title, Traveling Through the Dark. When you first look at it, you think you're just traveling through the dark, driving at night. But really what he's trying to say that traveling in the dark is when you don't know what decision to make, and you finally get that decision made, and things come to light for you. So traveling through the dark, not only in the road that he's traveling on, but actually in his mind when he is having to make the decision of what he's going to do. If I had to put a theme to this poem, I think theme would be that sometimes decisions in life are hard, but you have to make the best decision that you can at the moment that you have to make it, and just go with that decision. Alright, so what you see there is what I would have you do. Mine's about 5 minutes, but I did a lot of explanation, not quite a lot, but I did quite a bit of explanation to you about what I was doing, so yours won't be quite as long as mine. But that's the main idea that I want you to get from this assignment.